Once again, this is Al Edlund. This presentation is going to be a short description of data entry examples for working with the information that we capture from a data center move. We're going to do two examples in this video, one using web-based, form-based data capture, data entry basically, and the second one will be using the DC Rack client tool. Specifically, what we're going to look at is when we look at capturing of information, it will be location based. Locations can once again have an attribute of sublocations, and sublocations will have components. We also have an artificial or a mechanism for cabinet rows, which kind of blends between a physical location and a component. Let's move off of there to looking at web-based. The two web-based scenarios that we looked at the first one is Visual Studio has a quick mechanism for creating a web-based dynamic data entry that uses entity relationships just for looking at SQL Server databases. Well, not just SQL Server databases, but SQL Server. This takes about 15 minutes to build. It's quick. It's looking at the tables in our database, for instance, applications, asset data, cabinets, cabinet rows we'll select. And it gives us a two-part form, the top part being a grid where we can come in and edit, delete, or select and manually edit a single row. Or if we select that row, there's also a form based underneath that we can use for data entry. Probably not what you would use on a day-to-day basis, but it gives you a quick start to get you off and running. The second scenario is Silverlight based, and we'll start that up here. The reason we selected Silverlight is it gives us the ability to build a standard data entry mechanism that we can move across platforms. And we'll look at the product data table. And this Silverlight form has two components. There's a data grid and the new Silverlight data form, so that we can select individual records. Once again, we can come over and edit the discrete attributes or the fields. The form gives us the ability to do some prompts to help our users understand their data entry. We can submit, add new once again. Export in this case allows me to save the data grid data that I'm working with to an Excel form on the workstation. This also has a quick search function, so I can look for specific vendors and get to them quickly. So this is the quick web-based interface for doing data forms into our data center rack database. Let's move on to the client implementation of the DC Rack project. There are scenarios where a visual representation of what we're describing out on the data center floor may be more advantageous than a data form or grid function. Let's go to function, draw racks. We showed this in a previous presentation. We will select our data just as we described in the database a moment ago. We have locations, we have data rows. We'll select AX2. We'll select a specific rack to do data entry against. We'll load the data tables. The tables that have information have been loaded into the client. Going to do a draw, a rear view. We're done. And let's zoom in here. What we want to do is we want to add another server to this cabinet, and we'll select another 520, drag it over, and now we can see how it fits against the other server. We get a data entry panel. We've been given a default name, and the default name is the key of the rack, the fact that we're a rear view, and that it's been put into slot 36. We're going to give this server a label so that the documentation reflects the label that's been placed physically on the server. We'll call it server 2. And what I want to do while I'm here is I'm going to select a network attribute. Let's add the server to the database. It's been added. Since we selected network attributes, we get another data entry panel. He gave me the new component key. We can, at this point, add the domain name and network name. What I'm going to do is give it an IP address. We'll use a loopback address for testing. Add that data to the database. We're complete. Select the server that we've just added. Come up to Tools, ICMP, do a ping. We will do an update status. Status is complete. Close this. And our drawing's been updated to show that we could in fact communicate to it. Let's attempt a telnet session to it. Connect. And the address is correct, so we're able to connect to it. At this point in time, we can notify the platform team that the server's been installed and tested, and they can move forward. But as long as we're here, let's come over here to well, we're going to have to open another stencil because I'd like to add a PCI card to it. And applications, DC rack, stencils, we'll add the PCI stencil to our drawing. And we want to add a 4-port card to it. And it's added the PCI card to slot 1 in the server. And while we're at it, let's go add a fiber channel card. And that's as quick as it goes for adding components or subcomponents to components. In conclusion, what we've just covered is using the DC rack tool to include components and network information into the database as part of our data center move project.